Hey everybody, it's Global Politics with Jim Martin. Today I wanted to talk about a difficult situation in the country of Georgia. For some context, Georgia lies on the Black Sea, neighboring Russia, and to the south they've got Iran, to the north Russia, and to their east they have Armenia and Azerbaijan. Not the greatest neighborhood in the world. They're a small country, about 3.7 million people. Their economy is pretty small, as you would expect, about $60 billion. Their GDP per capita is about $8,800 per citizen. More recently, their economy has rotated around some skilled manufacturing and also metallurgy in terms of creating alloys. They have some chemical skills and they've been making a lot of fertilizer for places. And they have some ag products too. They've had a lot of foreign direct investment over the last 5 to 7 years, which has really kind of set them on a real upward economic trajectory, which is quite interesting for a post-Soviet country. I should mention that Georgia is a post-Soviet country. So they declared independence from the former Soviet Union in 1991. And have been nominally a democracy ever since. Never quite hit it out of the park on that. Right now, Freedom House, that I've referred to that think tank before, ranks them 58 out of 100 on their democracy scale, so partly free. They've had corruption problems. They've had some abuse of power things, scandals of various sorts politically over the years. They had a troubled political situation, really has been the norm there in Georgia. So there's two main political parties in Georgia, the Georgian Dream and the United National Movement. Georgian Dream has been, I don't exactly know how to characterize them other than to say they've taken a lot of policy positions over the years. They are led by a guy, I'm going to brutalize this, Bidzina Ivanishvili. How about that for my Georgian pronunciations? He is a billionaire. He made all of his money in Russia as kind of an oligarch. And at one point, he founded the Georgian Dream, was active in politics for many years. And then I guess about 5 or 6 years ago, he said, hey, I'm out. I'm not going to ever participate in politics again. And then he changed his mind. So he's back in the fray. And the Georgian Dream in the last elections, which were controversial and not seen as free and fair, which is at heart what these current problems are all about. They have a prime minister, Irakli Koben-Hitzi. He announced that they're going to withdraw from EU candidate status, which has been something that has been a very popular idea in Georgia for many years. So they've been kind of working towards cleaning up their economic, their finance sector, getting rid of some corruption to the point where the EU allowed them to enter candidacy status. What's been going on is that Bidzina and the Irakli prime minister have been engaged with a lot of Russian bots, disinformation work, threats, sabotage, all sorts of things, which led them to have this kind of unnaturally large victory in the last legislative elections. And then now they say they want out of EU candidacy status, which has brought literally hundreds of thousands of people to the streets in the Georgian capital of Tbilisi. People there are very afraid that what this means is that Georgia will simply become a vassal state of Russia, which is exactly what they should be afraid of. You may recall that in 2011, Russia grabbed a couple districts within Georgia and just seized them and kept them. International outcry was of the mild variety, and there were really no sanctions or pressures for Russia to end the occupation of these two areas. I have a friend actually whose entire family was dispossessed in that event. They gave them 24 hours to pack up their house and get out of Dodge. So they did. They lost everything and had to start their entire family life over. What's happened now is that they are having regular protests of about 100,000 plus people in the capital. These have become violent as the national security forces have cracked down hard on these protests. A lot of people getting beat up, arbitrarily jailed, these sorts of things. And as a result, the protesters have begun to use fireworks and throwing rocks and doing these sorts of things. It's a situation where when you have 100,000 people turn up for something in a country of 3.7 million, you're probably not doing things the way you should be. The president, on the other hand, is an independent politician who's also been around for a long time and is very popular internationally. The president's name is Salome Zourabichvili. She has been very expressive about her opposition to the results of the last legislative election, the hand of Putin in the results, and her opposition to this latest government and their anti-EU desires, and has expressed full solidarity with these protests. In fact, she is supposed to leave office, I think, in about a week or 10 days, and she has said that she's not going to do that, which creates yet another constitutional level crisis for Georgia. It's hard to say what will happen with this whole situation. Probably not going to be good. However, it may end up being a full-scale revolt against the Georgian government as it currently stands. It's happened before. It could happen again. Outsiders are unlikely to help a whole lot. It would be nice if some EU foreign ministers from some of those countries would go and express some solidarity with Salome and with the protesters. That would be useful. However, when Britain is caught up in their own problems, when Germany just had a government fall, and when France's government is kind of in turmoil also, it's kind of unlikely that any of those big shot guys are going to go. So maybe some countries, Nordic countries, Poland, something like that, maybe they show up and help. Perhaps the country that could have the most influence over this would be Turkey, who has a lot of economic interest there, and perhaps they can exert some influence to cool the situation down and get things back on track for EU status. Really hard to say. This is a very fluid and potentially very violent situation. And in yet another situation where a very small country is being pressured, coerced, occupied by Russia. With that said, if you have any comments or thoughts on this matter, I certainly don't know everything. I'd love to hear from you about it. Please leave them in the comments. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Hope you're having a great day and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.